All right, so this is Chef's house. All right, over there I showed you how we grow in soil, microgreens, aquaponics, and this is the fifth one. This house is completely hydroponics. It looks like everything's coming up out of the ground, but underneath the ground, it is all a network of pots and troughs and lines. And so it is all fed. These two tanks out here is where I brew the compost tea. And so I have worm bins on property, and I mix my own batch of tea with the organic nutrients and elements and all of that stuff. And so that all gets flooded into here, and it's a flood and drain system. So pump will come on, it'll fill all the troughs and buckets, and it'll water the plants, and then one pump will evacuate all the water, sucking the oxygen back down through the roots. So their roots aren't always stagnant in water, they're always getting nourished back and forth.
Just curious, red regulars or Canadian night crawlers, what do you use?
Basically, there's a Florida red worm that I use down here that can handle the heat. You know, I'm used to a
red regulars,
normal red worm, but
yeah, they can get up to around 100. After that, they're in trouble.
So on this side, I've got some lettuce, some dill, some pea shoots and stuff like that. These microgreen tables are mainly set up for the Culinary Institute.
Right.
So these tables and the rows of pots on the end, each one of those rows is a different culinary herb selection. So the first row is all Asian herbs, the second row is all French herbs, and the third row is all Italian herbs. So when the kitchen has a menu, whatever's on the menu, the sous chefs can come and harvest fresh organic herbs for that menu item from the chef's house here.
People, the whole object of this, that's an old metal sheet off a metal building.
Yep.
This is just to teach people how they can grow food without breaking the bank.
Absolutely.
I mean, this
That's
is...
a little shell.
What's that?
No. That's perlite.
Perlite. It's the same stuff that you see in like a potting mix to help aerate the soil. I just use it because the difference between a sprout and a microgreen is holding the roots. All right? We feed a very weak nutrient solution through these guys, but all it is holding the roots so that the plant, see, a sprout spends half of its energy producing roots and half of its energy producing leafy green.
Okay.
But a microgreen, because the roots are held and they're being fed, all of its growth is in the leafy green. So that's where you get that explosive growth with all the nutrients, is because we hold onto the root and feed the root so the plant doesn't have to struggle to eat, and all of its nutrients goes into growth.
I tell you, I need to take my red regulars out of my shed and open that shed up, make me a fish pond.
Alright.
This is amazing, Sammy.
Well, I'm sorry this one isn't in production
During
the heat, because this is a sight to behold. This is an NFT hydroponic system. So this is mainly used to grow commercial lettuce. All right. So these little guys here are just a show, but down at that end, I've got it started because next month I'm going to get it going. And so we seed at that end. So we have seeding trays, and the troughs get seeded. And after all of them are seeded, every 45 days, we're harvesting 32 heads of what we call living lettuce. You've seen them in the grocery store for 20 bucks each with the roots on and everything. So every 45 days, we're collecting 32 heads of lettuce. We harvest, reseed it, and it is a perpetual harvest. Once it gets going, it is a perpetual harvest every day.
The trays, where do you find these?
These are actually a company called Crop King. They started out building greenhouses, and they developed this NFT system that has been copied around the world.
Okay.
And so I went with them because they are the leader of it, and I've been using their system for many days. All right. So what you see in here right now is heirloom tomato varieties that there are so few seeds left in them that I'm growing them now just for seed. All right. Normally when the cucumbers and the tomatoes are in full, that's what they look like. They're walls of just straight tomatoes and stuff like that. And we harvest off the cucumbers, harvest off all the tomatoes. But right now, like this is a very rare heirloom peach variety that has almost the essence of peach. No acidity, everything else. These are a rare purple variety that we just can't find seeds for, so I'm growing them just to harvest seeds so I can start building up the supply of seeds of these rare heirloom seeds. Because the reason why we've lost so much, all right, this is a ministry.
Yeah.
And so we teach God's design in everything. And so the way of Cain's offering was not rejected because of what he offered. It was because he was trying to force his will on the offering. And so man, since that time, has taken the plant world and trying to force its will and make plants do it their way with chemicals and everything else, forcing the growth and everything else.
Yes.
And we've lost the nutrients and the life that's in the plant. And so we're bringing that back, teaching people what a tomato is really supposed to taste like.
I lost my Cherokee purples. I raised those for a long time. They were delicious, but I lost the seeds. Oh, look at him. Here it goes.
You put that whole thing in your mouth, Sammy.
Oh my God.
You put that whole thing in his mouth. Thank you.
That's almost unbelievable. What do y'all think?
We've almost lost what a tomato is supposed to taste like.
And remember, Sam, he keeps the door locked. You can't sneak back in. No, sir. I'm not going to ask questions. You're doing a great job.
Like surprising it's an actual tomato.
That is delicious, isn't it?
It is.
All right.